Guys, this is just the most random night I've ever had in my life. So it's like the 12 days of Christmas, but it's like the fourth day of Arran because tonight has been so completely random. I'm in my tent and my heart's bursting with happiness, but I'm also laughing my head off because this is how the evening goes. So I'm in my tent, it's pouring with rain, and first these lovely girls show up, and then somebody else shows up, and it's just so incredible. So this is sort of how it goes. On my fourth day in Arran, the people brought to me 1 Mrs. Doubtfire, 1 jar of soup, 1 jar of coffee, 1 pom bears, some digestive biscuits, a cheese sandwich, and 1 piper piping. So after the girls left me some food, after they said hello, like Mrs. Doubtfire, and they brought me food to the tent, Zoe and lovely Nick, I'm just quietly listening to the rain, minding my own business. And in fact, my sister's going to take Daniel, who's walking the UK for SAFA, to an RAF lunch on Sunday. I'll tell you about that. But outside my tent, I hear hello. But no, it wasn't hello. It was, okay. It was a man's voice. And I unzip my tent, and you're not going to believe what's standing outside of my tent. 1 piper piping. So I'm in my tent laughing. And so again, it's on my fourth day in Arran, the people brought to me 1 jar of soup, 1 jar of coffee, 1 bag of pom bears, 1 cheese sandwich, some digestive biscuits, a caramel chocolate. What else did they bring me? And a piper piping. Honestly, guys, I'm like, but then, so the piper's name is Andrew Errol, and then he hands me some change. I open the tent and say hello to him, and he hands me some change for the RNLI, right? And then I'm just in here telling my sister I've got a bloody bagpiper outside my tent, and she thinks I'm going doolally. And then I get a message from him, and he said it was so nice to meet you tonight, because when I was 6 years old, the RNLI rescued me and my friends. Oh my gosh, that is absolutely amazing. So outside of my tent is my RNLI Saving Lives at Sea flag, and in the pouring rain, a piper pulls his car over, says hello to me in my tent, and then I come to find out that the RNLI, he wouldn't be here if it were not for the RNLI, because they rescued him when he was 6 years... I'm going to cry. They rescued him when he was 6 years old, so I'm like this mad woman, unicorn rainbow woman, in a tent in the pouring rain, and how amazing that these beautiful people brought me food, and then this man, Piper, comes and tells me that he's been rescued and he's here because of the RNLI, and it makes every single step and every single struggle and every single rainstorm and every single thing that I've been doing the past almost 3 years, July the 4th, and every 7,700 miles, it makes it all worth it to have that young man standing there in his Piper uniform telling... It's quite... I'm like laughing and crying at the same time, because whoever gets like random strangers bringing them food and then a Scottish bagpiper knock on their door outside of their tent. So first it was like, hello, Mrs. Doubtfire, and then it was, okay, hello, is anyone in there? No, he didn't say okay, but how absolutely fantastic. It is just really, really touching. And I know my heart will be warm and I will sleep so well tonight. There is a young man walking around playing the bagpipes because he was rescued by the RNLI. I am going to put the link that he just sent me on my blog so you can all read it. You can't write this story, I'll tell you. My book is going to be so unbelievably exciting and just to read, just unbelievable. And for those of you just joining, basically it's been like on the Isle of Arran tonight in my tent in the pouring rain. It's been like the 12 days of Christmas. So I'll tell you again. I'm in my tent and two lovely girls show up and they bring me something. And then somebody else shows up. And the only way I can do it is to tell you, on my 4th day in Arran, the people brought to me 1 jar of soup, 1 jar of coffee, 1 bag of pombears, 1 cheese sandwich, a caramel bar, some digestive biscuits, and 1 piper piping, who was rescued by the RNLI when he was 6 years old. It's so random. I'm like literally crying and laughing at the same time. What an absolutely fantastic evening, honestly. Just unbelievable. And now I wish somebody was around here to come and have a glass of wine or G&T with me just to celebrate what an amazing day it's been. But honestly, guys, absolutely fantastic. I could not share that with you. Anyway, yes, so fantastic. The RNLI, thank you so much for saving that young man that was just outside of my tent in his kilt and his sporran. Oh, you should have seen his sporran. I'm just kidding. I think he was probably my son's age, so I'm just joking. But anyway, and thank you to Zoe and Nick for bringing me the food. And some of you are tuning in again. Sorry for those of you who have already heard it. But anyway, it was just an amazing evening, like the 12 days of Christmas. So if you're just tuning in, rewind this because it's such an amazing story and I'm so completely touched. Like I said, I called my sister up and I says, "Oh, Debbie, there's a piper, there's a wee piper." It wasn't a wee piper. "There's a strong piper outside of my tent." She said, "You go and do lally, sis." And she's in Weston-super-Mare. And do you remember when I was in Dumfries and Daniel McNeil that's walking the coast, his mom gave me a caravan next to the Highland Coo, Seamus, do you remember? Well, now he's in Weston-super-Mare where my sister lives, who's a retired NHS nurse, and her husband